Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel we call 67 Hail Hail. My name is Hamish and we've got another video for you today. Football is back, proper football that is. Now I know I got into trouble the other day for suggesting that international football isn't proper football. It's not, but other than that, Celtic coming back usually means we have a wealth of stuff to talk about. Away from the actual matches themselves and the Dom Mackay stuff, which we've covered heavily over the last few days, there actually isn't a great deal. However, I have been browsing various Celtic sites, most notably, and I'm legally obliged to say this, the wonderful 67hailhail.com. So I've come up with a little selection, a variety pack, if you will, of various Celtic stories that you may have missed, or even if you haven't missed them, I think are quite interesting. We've got all of that in this video, plus we'll be hearing from Liam Scales right at the end. Now we were hoping to hear, and actually in my case speak, to Cameron Carter-Vickers today. However, Celtic once again pulled the plug at the last minute on that press conference. So it's just Liam Scales, but we've got a lot of stuff to get through before that. And we start with the big game that is just getting closer and closer with every passing hour. Thursday night, 5:45pm kickoff, Real Betis against Celtic. We will have a proper big preview to the game landing on this very channel tomorrow. Last night, that was Monday night, Real Betis were playing Granada. 2-1 victory for Betis. They scored late on in that game to get their first victory of the season. Quite an impressive result as well, given how Granada have got on in previous seasons in La Liga. As I say, their first win of the season, so they're going into Thursday night with a pretty decent bit of confidence. They're in a good frame of mind. In terms of Thursday night, we know there won't be any Celtic fans officially, at least inside the Benito Villamarín. That is due to COVID, basically. Just blame COVID for anything. That's kind of how I get away with things. But Spain isn't quite as far forward as we are in this country. They're still not back at full capacity at football matches, and it's just not meant that there's enough space for Celtic fans to get into the stadium. I dare say there'll be some Celtic fans in the home end, but in terms of an official away following, there will not be any Celtic end at the stadium in Seville. It's a far cry from the 80,000 that went last time we played in the city. There's a certain irony in that. It won't be full in the home end either. They're not allowed to have it full. I believe this is still to be rubber stamped, but the latest kind of reports and rumours were that we're looking at about 60% permitted capacity of Real Betis fans on Thursday night. Now, their stadium holds 60,000. 60% of 60,000 is around 35,000, although I should add that I failed higher maths 2 years in a row. Betis actually only averaged 42,000 fans the last time they played in this tournament in season 2018-2019. So they probably, even if they were allowed every seat in the stadium, wouldn't have taken up every seat for Thursday night. But we're expecting probably a pretty full house in terms of what they're allowed. Probably about 35,000 tickets will be sold for the match. It's another big test for this Celtic team. They've had a lot of them lately. They've probably not passed all of the tests. They've not really passed any of the tests away from home so far. We've had a lot of damaging defeats at Hearts, at Ibrox obviously, and even a defeat that saw us through in Alkmaar as well. Michelin's the other one I forgot to mention there. This week's going to be huge in terms of away tests. We are going to Betis, speaks for itself, huge match. And then obviously on Sunday, for me, an even bigger match, the biggest match of the week, away to Livingston on Sunday, a ground that I don't think we've won at in a long time. It's a huge week, and the team really have to show this week that they can perform away from home, because I really, for as good as we've been at home, and we have been breathtaking at times, I don't think we have been nearly as good away from home this season. Greg Taylor looks set to miss the game on Thursday night, but that doesn't even seem to be Celtic's biggest worry with regards to the Scotland international. The worry is that when he does return, that he suffers a recurrence of the shoulder injury. He first picked it up, you may remember, in the Netherlands in that second leg against AZ Alkmaar. He subsequently missed the game at Ibrox. Juranovic, remember, played at left back. He also, I believe, missed the international break for Scotland. Not that he would really have played anyway. and he came back for the Ross County game at the weekend where he suffered a reoccurrence of that shoulder injury. Celtic have sent him to a specialist, so we'll just have to keep an eye out on that. Another fullback, Anthony Ralston, should be fit. Not quite sure what his injury even was, but he wasn't in the matchday squad against Ross County at the weekend. He also wasn't called up by Steve Clarke when they had a few injuries at right back. Maybe that was the reason why. An amazing thing happened earlier this week. John McGinley made a good point. His point was, and it really is quite a good one when you think about it, that he would go with experience at right back on Thursday in the shape of Croatian international Josip Juranovic. And he would then probably play Ralston on Sunday at Livingston when we need a bit more of a physical presence in that match. Obviously, Ange has the option to do what he did at Ibrox and play Juranovic on the left and Ralston on the right. You could do that for both matches if Taylor isn't fit. I hope he doesn't though. Reason one is that Juranovic isn't a left back. We signed him to be a right back and we need to stop playing players out of position. But secondly, I think we've got a left back there that's fit at the moment that is ready to play in these next two matches. Adam Montgomery. I just think the guy is an absolute star. I'm just getting in nice and early. I want to be known as the Adam Montgomery number one fan, really, for when he's the best left back in world football. I think he's got everything in his game. He's got that work rate. He's got pace. He can tackle. He's so comfortable on the ball, and you can see why Celtic wanted to play him as a left winger at times in pre-season. But I just think left back is his perfect role, and I think if he plays on Thursday, we'll get a great performance from him. I think he actually probably offers more than any other left back at the club going forward at the moment. But I'm going to lower the tone a little bit, and we're going to chat about vaccine passports. Yes, I know Hamish, steer well clear of politics. I will do my best over the next few minutes. As you may know, I was down in Newcastle at the end of last week with my girlfriend. We went to an event. Obviously, Newcastle is in England, in case you don't know. We were asked for our vaccine passports on the way in. Now, basically got a bit of a fright. I started thinking, do we need vaccine passports to get into this event? We're Scottish. The guy obviously heard our accents and we were waved through, but it was my first kind of case of coming into contact, probably not the best term to use at the moment, with vaccine passports. England, I believe, since then has actually scrapped them. Scotland are still looking to go ahead with the plan. I believe they're looking at 1st of October to start them. From what I understand, they'll be used primarily in nightclubs and at events with large numbers of people. It's a divisive issue, and away from the whole ethical argument over vaccine passports, which I'm steering well clear of, there is a practicality issue. How can you check 50, 60,000 people for vaccine passports on the way into a football game? What knock-on effects could that cause in terms of overcrowding and queues and potential for the virus spreading outdoors? The SFA, I believe, have suggested I'm assuming the random spot checks as being a potential avenue to get out of this situation, a kind of halfway house. I think the Health Secretary Hamza Yusuf has admitted this could be a solution. So it's one to keep an eye on. And yeah, can we kind of move back to footballing issues? Well, we kind of can, but it's still an off-field issue. But I think this one is quite an interesting thing. I should first of all again mention John. Might as well just get him on these videos at this rate. He did a lot of research and looking into what I'm about to talk about for an article in 67 Hail Hail that I will link below. It's to do with Celtic's old, current training kind of venue, training ground, I suppose, Barrowfield. It's obviously not where the first team train at the moment, although Celtic are looking to develop Barrowfield to make it fit for purpose for the likes of the women's team, the B team, I'm assuming other youth teams, and possibly the first team at stages as well. Now, usually I try and do these videos and I try and not look at my laptop too much, although I may have to do it a bit here because this is quite complex, so bear with me. As reported by Project Scotland, Celtic have been granted permission by Glasgow City Council to build new training facilities at Barrowfield. Now, these include a gym, reception, office and first aid room. Now, that is one of two applications that are currently launched by the club. The other one is an application for an indoor training complex. Now, the second plan, that one I just mentioned, is very much still in progress. It would be mainly used for the Celtic women's team, the Celtic B team, although the Celtic first team would also train on the indoor pitch in winter or on really bad weather days. Believe it or not, there isn't actually a full-size training pitch at Lennoxtown. So this is a big development with one artificial pitch also included in the development. Now, it's a pretty good week to chat about artificial surfaces, given that Celtic play in one against Livingston on Sunday. So if going forward the club have the opportunity to train in an artificial plastic pitch, then it seems like a pretty good move. As I say, it would give the club more options going forward, and it can't be a bad thing to see the club pushing forward, even if they maybe aren't in other areas. As I say, well done to John for researching all of that and doing all the digging. I will include a link to that in the description. Right, let's hear from Liam Scales then, because he spoke to Celtic fan media a way back on Thursday, round about the same time as I was sinking double bodies in Newcastle. I obviously wasn't on the call. That'd have been some laugh if I was. So David from 67 Hail Hail got the chance to, I think, make his debut in terms of a Celtic first team press conference. He asked a question to Liam Scales. We will hear it now. We'll hear Liam Scales' answer, and then we'll even let you hear the rest of the press conference. Enjoy, everyone. We're back tomorrow with the preview to Betis.
What did Ange Postecoglou tell you about your role at Celtic and what he wants to see from you this season?
Well, I suppose we haven't had that much time to talk, obviously, because coming in, I was here for a couple of days, and then it was the international break. I was back in Ireland, and I've been back in here today. He sees potential in me, he's told me, and he thinks like he can improve me as a player, whether as a centre half or a left back. I'm not sure, but hopefully both. And he's just looking forward. We're looking forward to work with each other, I suppose. Obviously, the history, it's a massive club, and in Ireland, like it's well followed in Ireland. And I suppose once the call came in, like it was just like a bit of a no-brainer. Just the size of the club, the following, obviously the stadium, the fans, they fill out the stadium every week. It's just like it's a great club, and the history that they've had and the success, hopefully we can replicate it this year.
Good afternoon, Liam. Welcome to Celtic. Just a quick one from me. You've been recently playing wing-back role, but with your stature at 6'4", you have the natural attributes of a centre-half, where you've also played. But where do you feel is your natural position?
I'll correct you, I'm actually 6'2", but apart from that, like, look, I'm comfortable in both positions, probably just as comfortable as each other. I've played left wing back, I've played in a back three, and I've played left back and centre back in a back four. I suppose I love playing centre back, and that's probably my most natural position. But after being thrown out left wing back this year at Shamrock Rovers for injuries, and I've played left back for the Ireland under 21s and at club level before, I think I can do both equally as well. Even though I'm probably more naturally a centre half, I've kind of adapted into being able to do both, especially this year.
Hi Liam, can you tell us a bit about the other offers that you had? I think Southampton were in for you, and what made you go against going to England and decide to come to Celtic?
I suppose there was other clubs. There was other clubs interested, and it was kind of a tough time, like picking and choosing. But I think once the Celtic thing came up, it was like, it's just such a massive club and such a good opportunity to improve and to play in Europe. That's one thing that it offers that other places doesn't. And obviously to be able to play in front of a full stadium every week and hopefully winning games and being successful as well, that's kind of what attracted me the most. And obviously the Irish element as well, it was kind of a bit of a dream, you know.
Hi Liam, welcome to Celtic. of course you want to create your own legacy here at the club, but if you to look back on a former player at Celtic and maybe replicating their footsteps or looked up to, who would that player be?
I suppose the obvious one for me as a defender in recent times would be Virgil van Dijk. Like he's been the best, obviously one of the best players in the world over the last few years, and the time he spent at Celtic, he was successful and he developed and became a top player. And I remember seeing him at Celtic and thinking like he's unbelievable. So in recent times, I suppose it would be him because of the levels he's gone to and how like Celtic helped him get to those levels.
Hiya there, Liam. Welcome to Celtic. You've been given the iconic number 5 jersey. How do you feel about wearing that, and what kind of state of mind are you going to bring to that jersey, and what will you bring to the Celtic team?
Yeah, I think I know the history behind the number 5 and how big it is here, and like I was outside the stadium today, I walked past the statue of obviously Billy McNeil, and just it's massive. But I think regardless of what number I chose, I was always just going to come here and just do my best and just kind of work as hard as I can to get into the team and hopefully have a good few years here, however long I'm here for.
Hi Liam, so obviously watching your highlights for Shamrock Rovers, it's clear that you have a great range of passing along with your defending. Do you feel like these components of your game will stand you in good stead at Celtic?
Yeah, definitely. I think playing with Shamrock Rovers over the last couple of years, we had, in most of our games, we would have had most of the ball. We were a possession-based team. We like to play out from the back, and I know it's the same here. And I think the manager at Shamrock Rovers is kind of, obviously, he improved me a lot in that sense and made me more comfortable on the ball. And it's always kind of been a strength of mine, and I hope like I can use my abilities here as well as I can.
Hi Liam, how you doing? I was wondering, how much do you think moving to Celtic can aid your international aspirations?
Yeah, obviously it's a step up from where I was, and it's a massive club. So if I'm playing here and doing well, it would help me be in the window for international call-ups in the future. And I suppose it's down to me now to do as well as I can, because obviously I want to have a successful international career. That's a massive goal of mine as well.
Hi Liam, you just mentioned there that having a successful international career is a goal of yours. What other ambitions do you have in the game, and do you have any beyond Celtic?
I suppose I haven't really thought past Celtic now. Like it's been a mad week, and I'm just so like over the moon to be here, like at this club. Like I haven't had the time to think about what's beyond it, and I suppose I'm focused on the next month. I know we have a busy schedule coming up, and the amount of games we have, but I suppose I can only do as much as I can and work as hard as I can, and wherever that takes me, it will. That's the attitude I have towards it at the moment.